Well, we've seen from the numerous pollsters, it really is a science, maybe sometimes only an art, that it's a very tight election. My sense is that, we might be in for some surprises in turnout. We've got an election in a country which, as we all know, is deeply polarized. But one of the very significant things that we're seeing emerge is something along the lines of a 30% gender gap. And many of the women that we anticipate will be voting for Kamala Harris will be doing so in ways that are hard to measure by polling. In other words, these are women in red communities, in red families, in red constituencies who are quiet about their vote. So there are a few different things that could produce surprises. But I think the other thing, of course, is that in these last days, there has been a real momentum on the Harris campaign. We're hearing from those people working in swing states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, that the ground game, the people on the ground who are deciding where to deploy the many volunteers that turn up to knock on people's doors today, to drive them to the polls. This is actually organizationally very complex. And the Harris campaign just is better organized at that level. Certainly that's what we're hearing in Pennsylvania. So there are, again, a number of things. Polls tell you about voter preference. They don't tell you who will vote, and they don't tell you about those people that are just very reluctant to tell you who they're going to vote for. So it's going to be tight. It might be several days before we know the result in that very key state of Pennsylvania, where there have been issues, of course, with mail-in ballots.
Yes.
And if it's very close, that could be a very difficult scenario.
Leslie.
But that is where the momentum is.
Let's just get into the shy Harris voter, because in 2016, we were talking about the shy Trump voter, and it feels as though voters are more confident to express their opinion these days if they are a Trump voter. But when it comes to the shy Harris voter, you're talking about perhaps female Republicans here. This is a feature where we've seen what Julia Roberts' vocal cords are recruited to try and convince those Republican females to vote for Harris. How likely is it that they would actually swap, that they would change their colours because of one issue?
It's not necessarily that they change, that they abandon their party. But I think we will see a sizable number of people. The Iowa poll that everybody's been talking about is notable, not because it, necessarily tells us about even the outcome of that state, but because of the voters, the outcomes on women, especially older women, had a very strong preference for Harris. We talk about reproductive rights, about abortion as being the motivating issue. It's certainly top of the table on issues that are motivating women, but I think it's a broader sense that Donald Trump is speaking a language that is not pro-women, that is not really pro-equality. And so I think we will see women on the Republican side that, they'll hold true to many of their values, and probably in the short, medium, and long run to the Republican Party, but not to this presidential candidate. That's, again, the thing that everybody is curious about. We'll be waiting to see. But the polls don't show this story fully. But even, many leading pollsters are saying that they won't be surprised if there is a surprise on Election Day.